Tyrese Halliburton, and you're listening to Setting the Pace.
Alrighty, Pacer Nation, joining us here on Setting the Pace, it is Brandt McCoskey. He is the host of Pacers Daily on FanArch. Brandt, man, it is so good to connect with you on Setting the Pace. How are you doing?
Alex, it is so good to be with you, my friend.
Absolutely. And then you have just started doing the FanArch show for the last couple of months now?
Yeah, I started back in April. They hired me on in April, really got going late April, early May.
Perfect. So kind of new to the space a little bit, taking over as the team is, getting through their worst season of the year. But now we've kind of seen what they've been able to put together here in the offseason, have an idea of what the roster looks like. Don't want you to get too much in the weeds on this, but just quickly your thoughts on maybe where the Pacers rank at in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, and we've seen this really back and forth a lot, Alex, between not only us, but other analysts across the NBA. But really, what the Pacers have done is pretty impressive. I mean, you have to be really happy if you're a Pacers fan, what we've done for the roster. Now, we look at other teams in the East, and the East is really, really stacked going into this season. Now, in my opinion, I think we're probably a top 5 roster in the East. Now, other people are saying, top 8, top 10, things like that with the way Eastern Conference rosters have been built. You look at the 76ers, you look at Boston and Miami now with Giannis and guys like that. But really, you have to look at this Eastern Conference and say, hey, we are just, 2 seasons away, really removed from going to the NBA Finals. We bring a lot of those guys back. We added some key pieces. So I really think that we could be a top 5 team going into the playoffs next season.
It's going to be interesting. I'm really excited to see how the Eastern Conference kind of, plays out. There's a lot of good teams here. We've got some new look teams that are going to take some time to develop, but also have some established teams that aren't going away quietly. So
right,
we'll see what happens here, and I think it's going to be fascinating. I think top 5 is probably closer to where I'm at with Pacers. Maybe I'm a little bit higher on them than you now, just off the top of my head, but I think saying top 5 is a very safe place to put them.
Right.
I would be surprised if they fell between 6 and 10 in the Eastern Conference, just knowing how talented this team is. But today's episode, we're really going to be diving into one topic, and that is 3 things that could derail the Pacers from winning an NBA championship. So it's really kind of negative conversation, but we can maybe spin it a little bit positive as we're talking about it. But clearly, this is a very solid team that, Kevin Pritchard, Chad Buchanan, and Ted Wu have put together. You got a Hall of Fame coach, the oldest coach in the NBA, and Rick Carlisle. And then you've got a lot of question marks here with guys coming back from injuries and, fitting in a new player in Ivica Zubac. So curious for you. We'll just go with your 3, and then I'll chime in with what I have. So number 1, what is one thing that you think could derail the Pacers' chances?
Yeah, absolutely. So really, Alex, congratulations on all the work that you've done, really, with Chad and writing about Rick and all those guys. And so the 3 things that I'm going to go into detail about are pretty obvious, right? They're pretty obvious ones, but the amount of hype and optimism around this team, we have to be really careful going into this season without these in the back of our minds. Especially because everyone's excited about this Pacers squad. So number 1, I think, is the most obvious, and it's health. I think health is really the obvious one. We know Hallie is the big health question. What's he going to look like this season? But let's take a look at really the health issues that have really plagued the Pacers the last season. Obi, obviously coming back, he missed 56 straight games last season with the stress fracture in his foot. Zoo played only a handful of games with the Pacers this past season after the trade deadline due to an ankle injury he suffered before the trade, then missed the remainder of the season with a rib injury. He's back and ready to rock. He's claiming he's going to be in the best shape of his life going into this season, which is going to be needed if he wants to play our type of basketball. And then Nembhard missed 25 games last year with miscellaneous injuries. Neesmith missed 37 games due to various injuries. McConnell missed 26 games. Kelly Oubre Jr., obviously new addition to the squad, he missed 32 games last season as well. So, as coaches and players say, the best ability is availability, and really health is going to be key for this team if we want to make noise in the Eastern Conference.
I completely agree. I put number 1 for mine was injuries, right? Just because, there's so many guys coming back from injury. And Carlisle told Draymond Green this in his interview. Look, our biggest thing is getting these guys healthy and then ready for a training camp where they can get out of it healthy. And so getting these guys' bodies stronger in the offseason, honestly, I'm not gonna ever say missing the playoffs or whatever. Like this weird season that we just had, this gap year,
Yeah.
is good for a team. But for a team that's made it deep into the playoffs the last 2 years that have also dealt with some injuries throughout the season, I think it could be a blessing in disguise that they were able to
Mhm.
get some much needed rest to
Yeah.
get their bodies, ramped up for this upcoming season. But if you have an injury to one of these key guys, that really just kind of hurts the depth. And we know how important this ecosystem is that the team talks about.
Yeah.
But if you just have uh, one injury to a key player, that could completely take away the chances of winning. Like if Ivica Zubats goes down with an injury, they are already thin at center position, in my opinion.
Right.
So now you're really hurting with, oh, Jay Huff's got to play more minutes. Now you got to overexert Obi Toppin at the 5. How long will that
Yeah.
actually work?
Yeah.
So there's just a lot of question marks there. And then same could be said for Halliburton if he gets hurt again. So obviously, you just want to make sure that everybody sustains health. And we saw that in the last run. For the most part, everybody was mostly healthy until Ty went
Mhm.
down in the finals. And it just shows you, like, they were even still able to be competitive for a little bit of that game when Tyrese went down. But at the end of the day, you're not going to win without
Right.
everybody completely healthy. And we've kind of seen that, just not from a Pacers perspective, but just from an NBA perspective. So injuries, health, that is clearly number one. Anything else you want to add on that?
So you bring up a good point, that finals run in 2025, how, one key player going down, obviously Hallie went down in game 7, things like that, but how vital our bench depth was to that run.
Mhm.
You lose a starter, you lose a key bench player anytime during this season for a large amount of time, it could be very, very crushing for this Pacer squad.
Sure. All right. Well, let's get into number 2 here. What is the second thing that you have on your list?
Yeah, number 2, for me, it's chemistry, right?
Mm.
With the new pieces like Zoo and Kelly Oubre Jr. added to the roster, Hallie coming back, trying to get back into full swing, full basketball for Hallie. Being able to get solid playing time together is going to be massive when it comes to building that chemistry. You can't build chemistry if you're not available due to injury. So health played a big part building chemistry, getting good run time before the season, training camp, preseason, and early regular season is going to be vital for this roster's chemistry. We bring back several key pieces that know how each other work and all that, but incorporating the new guys into that mix is going to be really, really important.
I'm really glad you brought that up because in my list of 3 things that I wrote down, I did not include chemistry because
Hmm.
I don't know why, I just think of like this team as pretty much already right,
Right.
being together, but adding Kelly Oubre Jr. is a big, piece because he's probably
Hmm.
a part of your top 8, if you want to call it that. I don't know where he kind of ranks in the top 8, but he's in the
Right.
top 8. And then Zubats, like, that's a drastically different center than what they had in Miles Turner, and we saw
Right.
how well that worked. So I think it's going to be okay. I feel very confident in just the way that Zoo is as a player, how Halliburton
Hmm.
is so good about making everybody look better than what they actually are. And, Zubats, I already thought he looked really good without a Halliburton. So what
Right.
he looks like with him, I'm not worried about that, but I do think chemistry is a big thing because we haven't seen it, and that will potentially cost them a couple of games early on in the season just because unfamiliarity. Like,
Right.
when do I cut off a guy? Oh, what is the action I'm supposed to be running here? Where am I supposed to stand at? And
Yeah.
so it'll just take some time. They might not lose games while they're learning each other, but they could potentially lose a
Yeah.
game or two because of that. So I think that's a really good point. And then heading into the playoffs, like you never know how the rotation's going to shake out. You never know who's going to
Right.
step up, who's not. But I just was going through the rotation and kind of looking at like how do you, determine how many guys should play and things like that. And
Yeah.
when you're kind of thinking about that, at the end of the day, you kind of want to see like a set 10-man rotation
Yeah.
because you do want to establish chemistry. If you have guys coming in and out of the lineup all the time, then you're not really sure what you're getting.
Well, and then you have to play the Furphy aspect too. Like
Mm-hmm.
he comes back, if he comes back anytime during this season, where would he fit into the rotation? Where would he fit in chemistry wise playing with these new guys? Obviously, he and Hallie know each other very well. He knows the starters very well. He knows the second rotation guys very well. But trying to work that in, plus trying to get some rehab time, coming back from an injury. He'll probably get some run with the boom, is my guess, to get back into it. But really, you throw Furphy into the mix, he may end up being a backbench guy, but It could be interesting for that too.
Yeah, it kind of feels like, and I don't want to predict where Furphy's going to be at in the rotation, but it kind of feels like he'll probably won't play much in the regular season, and then
Yeah.
come playoff time, it'll be like, oh, we're playing. I'll just throw out Toronto because they're
Hmm.
a team that has the wings that could kind of cause some matchup problems, and all of a sudden, oh, let's try this wild card in Johnny Furphy. Throw him out there, and then Furphy goes out there and impacts 5 minutes in a
Yeah,
game, and that's the difference in the Pacers winning and losing that game. And then you're like, oh wow, the 13th, 14th guy on their roster just came in there and changed the game for him. So
right.
I think that's kind of like where Furphy's at right now is he's
Yeah.
just kind of out of sight, out of mind a little bit, but he was a difference maker last year. Even though the season was bad, we got to see him pair well with a guy like
Hmm.
Siakam as that small ball five and play in different lineups. So I do believe that he's kind of got this thing about him where he doesn't necessarily have to be part of the rotation this season. I think
Right.
next year for sure, in 27, 28, that is when he'll really kind of solidify himself as a rotational piece. But because he's coming back from the injury right now, it's going to be hard for him to crack that rotation.
Hmm.
But I just see him making an impact in the playoffs some way or another.
Well, and really, like you said, coming off the bench 5, 6 minutes at a time. When it comes to Furphy, the confidence that he plays with, the attitude that he plays with, you look at him now, the size, the muscle that he's put on, he's gotten some beef on him now, which is great. And so really for me, it's the confidence that he plays with.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, let's get to your last thing here for the three things that could derail the Pacers' chances of winning a title.
Yeah, and really, we kind of touched on it when we first started the episode today, and it's going to be competition because I think it's safe to say that this is the most stacked the Eastern Conference has been in some time. There's a reason ESPN.com NBA Futures has the Pacers as the eighth best odds to come out of the East. I mean, you have the Knicks; they're defending champions, unfortunately, right? For all of us Pacers fans,
Yeah.
you've got the 76ers who added Jaylen Brown and LeBron James. The Celtics, Jason Tatum's back. The Pistons, they were the number one seed in the playoffs last season. You've got the Raptors, who have a nice young core. The Cavs can't seem to get out of their own way come playoff time, but they're still a good team. The Heat added Giannis, but traded what seems to be their entire bench to get him. And then you have the Pacers at number 8. So the competition is really going to be intense this season, night in, night out. So for the Pacers, really to kind of get all three of mine together, this Pacers team has to stay healthy in order to build that chemistry that they need in order to win games, especially close games, and to be able to to play, strong Pacer basketball to close out games in the season because we know this competition is going to be tough to be able to close out those tight games, especially late in the season. Uh, Everything has to go their way.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a great point. Just the competition itself. Like the Pacers might play a really solid series against a
Mhm.
team, but that team might just have a little bit more talent than them, or they
Right.
might just be clicking a little bit better. And it's not like there's anything that the Pacers maybe do wrong. It's just
Hmm.
maybe the other team is just slightly better than them, and
Yeah.
that's kind of interesting. We're recording this on Sunday afternoon, probably over release Wednesday or Thursday, be my guess for this episode.
Hmm.
But right now there's been talks that the Celtics have called about Steph
Yeah.
Curry with the Warriors. I mean, I don't know if that's ever going to happen, but like if Steph Curry is now in the Eastern
Yeah.
Conference with that Celtics team, that changes their dynamics
Yeah.
drastically, and like he's such a very good player that it would be like, wow, okay,
Yeah.
that's a really strong contender right there. You already talked about Philadelphia, what they put together. Toronto, the whole thing with Kawhi seems like it's going to
Yeah.
eventually play itself out, and even though Kawhi is hit or miss with what his health is like, they can get him healthy in the playoffs. I mean, they're going to be a problem. So there's just so many teams, like you mentioned, the Knicks and the Hawks have gotten better, and
Yeah.
Giannis going to Miami. There's just so many good teams out there right now that it's going to be a bloodbath no matter who the Pacers have to face, whether it's round 1, 2, or 3.
Yeah.
And then, probably waiting for you in round 4 is San Antonio or OKC. So
Yeah.
it's not like nobody can say, oh, nobody earned this title if they win it from the Eastern Conference. Like, you're going to have to go through some really tough teams. And I know injuries are going to come up and things like that, but that's just part of the game. So I think your list is really spot on. Just to throw a couple other things out there at you, a little
Yeah.
bit more niche things, more specific things from my side. One thing I said was just size on the wing.
Yeah.
I think at times, like, we've been able to mask a little bit with what Neesmith and Nembhard bring at the 2 and the 3, but
Hmm.
those guys are both 6'4", 6'5". You're not
Right.
very big there. Your bench is way bigger than your
Hmm.
starting 5. And if there's a team out there that could really push the Pacers, I think Toronto is just one I keep coming back to with
Yeah.
what their size is. We could see their size just be a little bit too overwhelming for Indiana
Mhm.
in a 7-game series. They could, I think they'll still win a series against Toronto if I were to pick the series. But I can see where it's like, oh, you got to go up against Scotty Barnes, RJ Barrett, Colin Murray-Boyles and Kawhi Leonard. Like, that's a
Right.
lot of size, a lot of switchability, a lot of things that could really, frustrate Halliburton as well. And
Mhm.
so I just think size on the wing is a big thing. And then the last thing for me is 3-point shooting because,
Yeah.
you know, we don't have Turner anymore. We've got Zubac,
Right.
who's made 1 3 in his whole career. You got Jay Huff, who was known to be a 3-point shooter that really struggled last year, just shot 32%. Kelly Oubre Jr. has not been a great 3-point shooter in his career either. Shot a career best 36% last year, which is just right around average, maybe a little bit below. And then Andrew Nembhard has been a pretty up and down 3-point shooter in his career as well. I think 2 years ago, he was like the worst 3-point shooting guard of all the starters in the Eastern Conference, maybe even in the NBA at like 29%. So,
Yeah.
you just have to like look at the team and realize, okay, who is a shooter, who's not a shooter. And we obviously know TJ McConnell is not a great 3-point shooter. So you're looking at really 5 guys out of your top 10 that could really
Yeah.
struggle from outside. And I felt like they've needed to kind of zone in a little bit more or key in a little bit more on going out there and getting a sharpshooter that can really just kind of spread the floor, be like a Doug McDermott or a Buddy Hield type
Mhm.
of player, but probably someone that can give you a little bit more on the defensive side of the of the court.
Yeah.
But that's just where I'm at from like really getting to like the nitty-gritty of this Pacers team without looking at the much bigger picture, which is chemistry and then just competition.
Well, and you bring up a great point with the size, right? The size on the wing, and I think that's where the Pacers do a great job of masking that with the speed and the pace in which they play.
Mhm.
They've done a great job of that, especially in that run that we had to the NBA Finals 2 years ago in 2025. A lot of that had to do with the speed. We just wore down the opponent, and then just were able to close out those close games. Now, when it comes to size, that's going to be a pretty big predicament, especially with you look at the teams that have added these bigger players on the wing. The Pacers have kind of fallen short on that. Like you said, our bench is much bigger than our starters, and that's again. I go back to what I said in that finals run in 2025. The impact the bench had on that run is massive, and that size is going to come into play, I think, a lot sooner than we realize this season.
Absolutely. Well, as we're kind of closing our conversation here, is there anything else you would like to add, say, or plug about your show, about this show, or anything else?
Yeah, Alex, again, thank you for having me today. I love everything that you do, whether it's setting the pace or your work on SI.com. Just great follow. I tell my fans all the time when I'm talking about one of your articles to give you a follow because you're fantastic at what you do. Yeah, so my show, Pacers Daily, on Fan Arch, we do it Monday through Friday. It's a lot of fun. I know I get kind of poked at with some of the liners when it comes to the show itself, but no, we have a good time. We talk about a lot of great stuff when it comes to the Pacers, and we're really hoping for a really great season for our Pacers. And I know you're in the same boat with that. We have a lot of great stuff that we do get to talk to. You get to talk to some awesome people. I know I'm going to down the road, but we have a lot of fun with it. Hope you guys get a chance to check it out. You can check us out on YouTube, at Spotify, Pacers Daily. We just so much fun. Love it.
Yeah, I mean, I really do appreciate the kind words, and I know you're always quick to give me, credit whenever you're reading the articles and talking about them, and I do appreciate that, and I know your fan base is very, faithful. I see the comments in
Yeah.
your YouTube videos as well, and that's one thing I love about your show is it is a show for the fans, and
Yeah.
you guys always start off each show kind of reading some of the comments from fans
Mhm.
in the YouTube section. I know probably could do a better job of that over here on Setting the Pace, just kind of giving some of the fans more of our attention because it's just a lot and we get a lot of comments. And sometimes, I sift through them and I read some of them.
Mhm.
I'm like, okay, like, come on, guys, like, let's not be like this. But,
Yeah.
I do appreciate fans voicing their opinions because
Mhm.
at the end of the day, I think that we're all just fans of this team. We want to see them do well at the end of the day. And the better they do,
Yeah.
the better it is for all the fans, all the content creators and things
Yeah.
like that. So, but I do appreciate that. So if you guys haven't checked out Pacers, Pacers Daily, right? I'm sorry,
Yes. Yeah. Pacers
I keep
Daily.
it's so simple. I keep forgetting. I wanna call it something else. I don't know why. I feel like I should add more to it. But Pacers Daily at FanArch. please do so. And Brandt, I really, really appreciate your time. I appreciate your support. And honestly, just the connection we've been able to make since you've really been in this space since April. And it's been fun getting to know you a little bit more and, just hearing your thoughts on the Pacers. We had some disagreements on Micah Potter.
Yeah.
And
We
I was
did.
loving it. You were coming on every show like, I think Micah Potter should stick around. Well, the Pacers felt like Micah Potter shouldn't stick around.
Yeah. Yeah. They made that
that's
very
okay.
clear.
That's okay. But I mean,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I think that having different voices, different people in this space with different opinions, it's exactly what we need. And so
Yeah.
you're doing a great job, and you're only going to get better as you keep
Appreciate you.
doing this more and more. Today's episode of Setting the Pace is brought to you by Outlet. Outlet is building the town hall for sports, meaning you can easily find what fans are saying about any play, any game, any moment in sports. What makes Outlet different is that the platform is built around credible voices in sports like us, so the conversation is coming from people who actually know the game. If you're tired of the noise and want sports conversations that mean something, this is worth checking out early. Head to the App Store right now and search Outlet Sports to download Outlet today. Hey, what's up, Pacer Nation? I really appreciate Brandt McCoskey coming on, giving us his insight on the 3 things that could derail the Pacers from winning a championship. But today, to kind of close this show out, I wanted to do something a little bit fun. Didn't realize that me and Brandt's conversation wasn't as long as I had hoped it was. So I'm going to add another segment here at the end just to kind of make it at least 30 minutes long because I like having a 30-minute episode. But with that being said, I'm going to do something a little bit different. So if anybody knows me, they should know that I'm a massive John Mayer fan, okay? Have loved his music from the beginning. And I just never went and saw him live for whatever reason. And I finally did last year with my boy Gentry Hudson. It was in Youngstown, Ohio. We got to hear 14 songs, and it was probably the best concert I've ever been to. And I recently this year, I went and seen Young the Giant and the Strokes. And it's like, I can't get over how amazing of a performer John Mayer is, even after, 4 years now at that point since he had put out his last album. And the last album is out in 2021. So there's some rumors that he's I think he said in the beginning of July that he's been working on 16 songs that he's got down. So there could be some new John Mayer music coming, but his best album of all time, in my opinion, is Continuum. It was his 3rd studio album, and there's 12 songs on it. The big lead hit is Gravity, Waiting on the World to Change, and Stop This Train. And so a lot of people, if you're a John Mayer fan, you're like, oh yeah, I love this album. It's really good. It's honestly, there's not a bad song on it. And that's what makes this album so great. And since I'm a big John Mayer fan and this album is celebrating its 20th birthday this year, I thought it'd be fun to kind of go through each of the songs and assign them to a player on the team and talk about why that's the case. So this is definitely just a special thing for me. If you're like, I hate when Alex does this, it doesn't make any sense to me, then you don't have to listen to this part. It's at the end of the podcast. But if you're a John Mayer fan or just like music in general and you want to hear my thoughts on this, we'll just dive right in. So we'll start with the starting lineup. Tyrese Halliburton, you have to go with the number 1 lead single from this album. That's Gravity.
And gravity wants to bring me down. Oh, twice as much ain't twice as good, and can't sustain like one half could. It's wanting more that's gonna send me to my knees.
It's a song that is, timeless. You can listen to it over and over again. It's got that 6/8 timing, that bluesy feel, great guitar solo. It's one of those ones where John actually said he didn't play it at a live event and people were really upset. And so he has to almost play it as his closer every single time. Now he might come out and do an encore afterward and play something else, but he usually ends his shows playing Gravity. And so great song. And that's where we're going with Tyrese Halliburton. Tyrese Halliburton is the headliner of this team, and Gravity is the headliner of this album. Now, going into Andrew Nembhard here, I'm going to go with the song Vultures.
Down to the wire, I wanted water, but I'll walk through the fire. If this is what it takes to take me even higher, then I'll come through like I do when the world keeps testing me, testing me, testing me.
I think just the name Vultures and Andrew Nimhard just mesh so well together. Vultures is probably like one of those ones where like a lot of like the diehard JM fans will say like it might be their favorite song on the album. And I kind of feel like that's how a lot of Pacer fans are. Like, it's like you love Tyrese, you love Pascal, but you really love Andrew Nimhard. But just thinking about what a Vulture is and what a Vulture does, that kind of feels like Andrew Nimhard's role on a basketball court as well. So that's why I picked Vultures for Andrew Nimhard. Now, for Aaron Nesmith, I went with Waiting on the World to Change.
When you trust your television, what you get is what you got. 'Cause when they own the information, oh, they can bend it all they want. That's why we're waiting on the world to change. We keep on waiting.
This is a song that's got a great message in it, right? But it's kind of boring when you think about it in terms of the totality of the album. I think it's kind of it's more of the poppy song, and everybody that you know knows this song. My boy Gentry was like, "This is my favorite song on the album." He's like, "I'm not a big John Mayer fan though," and I'm like, "That is the exact response I expect from not a big John Mayer fan to say like Waiting on the World to Change is their favorite song." And so I still think it's got to be in the starting five of singles from this album or songs from this album, but I think it's the least entertaining or the least enjoyable of the five. And so looking at the Pacers five, kind of put Aaron Nesmith in that role. And it's still a great song. Once again, it's a great song. I love singing to it. John actually can't even hit the notes now because of the vocal surgery that he had. And so he can't really sing this song the same way. And that one, like, he sang it live and he had to like sing it in like a lower octave. It doesn't sound as good without him singing the high notes, but it's got some cool stuff to it. I like it, but it's definitely not at the top of my list of like my favorite song. So, but for some people it is, and I think that's how Aaron Nesmith is on this team. Now, for Pascal Siakam, I'm going with the song that was not an original by John Mayer. It was an original by Jimi Hendrix called Bold as Love. And John Mayer puts an amazing Mayer twist on it and brings the song to life. And I'm sure there are a handful of people that actually prefer Mayer's version of Bold as Love compared to Jimi Hendrix. There's a lot of people that would still say, I like the OG better. But I went with Bold as Love because, number one, it's such a groove. It's such a great song. The Jimi Hendrix version and the John Mayer version. But when you think about it, it's a cover. It's kind of like how can we remake what was already made great? And I think when you look at Pascal Siakam and how he came to the Indiana Pacers from the Toronto Raptors, this is an NBA champion. This is a guy that was like the best player on the Raptors. There's always a problem for Indiana. And he has just evolved into a different player here, kind of like this version evolved with Mayer taking it and doing something different with it. And so that's why I'm just sticking with that. I just think as well, like just he's bold, he's out there, he's like got some interesting clothing options and stuff like that, but he don't care. It's just Pascal Siakam beats to his own drum. And I think that this is a great comparison when you think about it from that perspective of, the original version's the Raptor version, but the Mayer version is the Pacer version, and some people might like it better. And Siakam's game has just evolved since coming here. So, rounding out the starting five, we're going Ivica Zubac, and the song I've picked for Ivica Zubac was personally my favorite song that I heard live, and that is Belief. A lot of people go back and forth on how they feel about Belief, and when you listen to it on the studio album, I love it, but there's also times like I like other songs better. But I think the word belief is kind of how we have to envision Ivica Zubac with this team. We only saw a 5-game sample size of him, but we have to believe this is going to work because they traded a lot to get him. And if we don't have a belief in Ivica Zubac, then that's a problem. So I know there's a lot of fans that don't have belief in him, but I do. And so that's why I'm going with belief for Ivica Zubac. And probably one of the best guitar solos on this album is from Belief. And John loves to riff live on this one and goes way longer than the album allows for him to do so. So anyway, that's the starting 5. So we have Gravity for Tyrese Haliburton, Vultures for Andrew Nembhard, Waiting on the World to Change, Aaron E. Smith, Bold as Love, Pascal Siakam, and then Belief for Ivica Zubac. Now we're getting into the bench here, and this is where it gets a little bit interesting. But for TJ McConnell, I've got the song Stop This Train. And Stop This Train is a very emotional song.
Life has just begun. Had a talk with my old man, said help me understand. He said turn 68, you renegotiate. Don't stop this train, don't for a minute change the place you're in. Don't think I couldn't ever understand. I tried my hand, John, honestly, we'll never stop this train.
And basically John's whole thing is saying, like, stop this train of life. I don't want things to keep going. I don't want to see my parents go. I don't want to see the world come to an end. Basically, like, I know my time is coming. Just stop the train. And then at the end, he realizes I'm never going to be able to stop this train. And unfortunately, I think for all of us, the train for TJ McConnell in the NBA is getting closer to the end. And I think we'd all like to just kind of stop the train and let TJ continue just to be this amazing backup point guard and never age. And he's done a great job of keeping his body in shape, but we know that, Father Time, it wins. And that's kind of what this song's talking about. And unfortunately for TJ, that's where he's at. So now we're going to go to Jarris Walker. Jarris Walker, this is a tough one because a lot of these songs are sad songs. They're breakup songs. They're a little harsh titles, but I had to do it because it just stuck out to me. Dreaming with a Broken Heart.
When you're dreaming with a broken heart, the waking up is the hardest part. You roll out of bed and down on your knees, and for a moment you can hardly breathe, wondering where's she really here? Is she standing in my room?
Y'all know that Jarris Walker is not the person I believe in the most, but I think there are a lot of fans, and maybe even people on this coaching staff and in this organization that believe Jarris Walker can be that guy. And I'm telling you right now, I think they're dreaming with a broken heart. They're believing that he can be something, but he's not. And they're going to end up, waking up one day and realizing that this was not the player that they hoped they got when they drafted him 8th overall in 2023 draft. So it's a little bit harsh, but I had to go with that one. Now, Kelly Oubre, this was probably the most difficult because a lot of these songs and the titles and the lyrics, they're about breakups and heartbreak and things like that. So I don't really have one for him that's that great, but Slow Dancing in a Burning Room, it's honestly one of my favorite songs on this album as well.
You try to hit me just to hurt me, so you leave me feeling dirty, cause you can't understand. We're going down, and you can see it too. We're going down, and you know that.
It's a very catchy song. It's cool. It's groovy. I think Kelly Oubre is that same way. But, if we have to rely on Kelly Oubre to carry the bench, that could be a slow dance in a burning room, which means that you might want something a little bit better. But at the end of the day, I think as a bench guy, you have to really like that and love it. For Obi Toppin, the title itself is what got Toppin this same song, and it's The Heart of Life.
Pain throws your heart to the ground. Love turns the whole thing around. No, it won't all go the way it should. I know the heart of life is good.
This is once again another sad song, but if you think about the heart of life, like Obi Toppin is just one of the most loving, caring people I know, a terrific dude, and someone that I think really loves this organization, loves this fan base, and he'll stop and do anything. Like, the best thing about Obi Toppin is his routine of having a kid come out onto the court in pre-games and throw him an alley-oop before he goes and talks to his daughter and then signs autographs and then heads back to the locker room. I just think Obi Toppin is a top-notch guy, and he truly does understand what the heart of life is all about. So I love that. Now, to round out that second unit, we're going with J Huff. And the song I'm going with here is another one that I like, but the title is more of why I picked this for J Huff. And it's I Don't Trust Myself with Loving You.
Girl, I see through your love. Who do you love? Me or the thought of me? Me or the thought of me?
The reason I picked this one for J Huff is because if I fall in love with J Huff as a backup center, I don't trust myself. I think J Huff is an okay rotational big, potentially, but if I'm trusting him to kind of anchor us down there with that second unit, I don't know if I'm trusting myself with loving him. So that's kind of a cheap way to kind of give him this song title, but I just can't trust myself with J Huff. And that's where I'm at right now. I want to be proven wrong, and hopefully I am, but as we're heading into the season, I just don't trust myself with loving you, J Huff, and it's nothing personal. Now, the last two here. So I had four more players to pick from. I can only pick two to go with these two songs, so I'm just going with the guys on the top of the pecking order, Shepard and Furphy. For Ben Shepard, I'm picking I'm Gonna Find Another You.
I'm gonna do some things you wouldn't let me do. Oh, I'm gonna find another you.
This is an awesome song. It's talking about finding another woman that's exactly the same as the one he's been with before. And what I love about this is Ben Shepard is probably as basic of a player as you can imagine when you make up a guy in like 2K. Like, this is like the perfect, like, yeah, jack of all trades, master of none. Like, somebody that's not gonna really like make you like lose sleep if you lose him in a transaction. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh man, we traded Ben Shepard, we're gonna regret that one. I mean, nobody's really feeling that way, especially if you get somebody better. So I just think like I'm gonna find another you. I feel like he's kind of in that part where it's like probably one of the more replaceable players in terms of like finding someone as similar to what he does skill set wise or even better. So I think that's why I did that. And then the last one here, love this song too. It's called In Repair.
Oh, it's taking so long. I could be wrong. I could be ready. Oh, but if I take my heart's advice, I should assume it's still unsteady. I am in repair.
And that's Johnny Furphy, because Johnny Furphy is in repair right now. He is getting himself ready for his recovery from his ACL injury. So he is not fixed. He is getting repaired. So that was a easy one to kind of fall out to. So just real quick, run through them all. Gravity, Tyrese Halliburton. Vultures, Andrew Nembhard. Waiting on the World to Change, Aaron Nesmith. Bold as Love, Pascal Siakam. Belief, Ivica Zubats. Stop This Train, TJ McConnell. Slow Dancing in a Burning Room, Kelly Oubre. Dreaming with a Broken Heart, Jarris Walker. The Heart of Life, Obi Toppin. I Don't Trust Myself with Loving You by J Huff, or for J Huff. I'm Gonna Find Another You, Ben Shepard, and then In Repair for Johnny Furphy. I thank you guys for allowing me to just be really niche in this space right here as we're kind of closing out this Thursday here, getting ready for the weekend. Obviously, content, there's not a whole lot to talk about, so this was kind of fun for me. Big John Mayer fan. So if there's any other John Mayer fans out there that have seen my tweets or know that I'm a Mayer fan, or maybe you didn't know, would love to chat with you about it and get your thoughts on some of the songs. And if you're a Mayer fan, would love to know your thoughts on how you would assign each song to each player. But anyway, I won't go any longer than I needed to. So thanks so much for sticking with me here to the end of the episode. Really fun to do this, and I appreciate you all so much. Hope you all have a great rest of your Thursday. We'll talk to you all tomorrow. Have a fun interview coming out tomorrow as well. No Facci, but another episode. So you guys are going to like that. But with that being said, we'll talk to you all tomorrow. Peace out. Let's go, Pace.